Hey, what's going on, guys? It's been a while since I've done a video. Just been having some camera difficulties and whatnot. But I thought I would try to maybe do some album reviews. Well, not really album reviews, but a few things that I've gotten recently. So let's see here. Right here I have Pearl Jam 10. This is their debut album, released in 1991 on Epic Records. There's not a whole lot I can say about this record. Pearl Jam, they were one of the key bands of the whole 90s alternative rock movement, more specifically the Seattle grunge movement that was happening back in those days. And this album was one of the landmarks of that whole era. You know what I'm saying? I saw it at Walmart, and I know that out of a lot of those bands, Pearl Jam was really one that I've never really sat down and listened to. So I decided I would go ahead and buy this record and check it out. But yes, it's a pretty good album. One thing I can say about these guys though, as far as like the grunge, these guys really weren't as heavy as like the other bands. Like Alice in Chains and, well, I don't even like calling Alice in Chains really grunge. They were more metal, in my opinion. But I guess compared to like what Nirvana and all these other bands were doing at the time, they weren't as heavy, but they were still good. I think probably the best. Probably the only song from this record I really know is Jeremy, because that was a song about bullying. It was based on a true story about a kid named Jeremy somewhere in Texas, I believe. He walked into his English class and stood in front of the classroom, put a pistol in his mouth, and shot himself dead. But I think Alive was also a single from this record too. But pretty good album, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've just recently started really listening to Pearl Jam. So next I have Mayday, Believers. I think this is their most recent album. Like, buddy of mine from work, he told me about these guys. I knew they were signed to Strange Music, man, but he told me I should check them out. And one thing he said was that, well, he said they were really good and I should check them out. But I watched this documentary called Dogfight. I don't know if some of you guys have seen that, but it's about this guy who used to run like this illegal backyard street fights in his neighborhood. But anyway, a lot of the music that was being used in the film was done by Mayday, and it sounded really good. So I decided to check them out, and it's a really dope album. I see why these guys have gotten such critical acclaim for their work, because they're really good and they're excellent at what they do. So Mayday, Believers. What else do I have here? Got Alice in Chains, Facelift. I've actually had this for a while. This is really nothing new, but I just been listening to a lot of stuff, going back re-listening to it. This is their first album, Facelift, released in 1990. This was before the whole grunge movement took off. So at this time, Alice in Chains, they were pretty much known as a metal band. It wasn't until after Nevermind came out and was so huge that their record label started marketing them as a grunge band. But this is before that period. And of course, Alice in Chains, they were one of the leading and more prominent bands coming out of Seattle, before Nirvana and whatnot. But the great album right here. And let's see, I got Rage Against the Machine. This is their first album, self-titled debut album, released in 1992. I mean, we all know about Rage, man. Politically charged music. And of course, man, they were one of the pioneers of the whole rap metal. Some people even say that they're the guys who helped like formulate the new metal movement that came during the late 90s and early 2000s. Although a lot of people really shit on new metal, I kind of liked it. I had nothing against POD and Korn, at least. But yeah, these guys, man, they were pioneers of the whole rap metal genre, alternative metal. Great record, man. If you like politically charged hip-hop, these guys, their political views are more leftist and revolutionary, but still great music. Then here's Rage Against the Machine, their most recent album, The Battle of Los Angeles, released in 1999. This record right here was actually my introduction into Rage Against the Machine, because, excuse me, when I was a kid growing up, I used to see this record being advertised like all the time on television, and I was wondering why it was so huge. I didn't know who Rage was until, I started seeing videos for like Guerrilla Radio and Testify and stuff like that. I thought they were like a new band, but come to find out, they weren't, and that it had been like 3 years since their last album. So that's why it was so huge that this record was coming out. When I first listened to this record, I didn't really like it. I didn't think it was as good as Evil Empire or the first self-titled debut record. But I recently went back, listened to it, and I realized that it's actually a great record. It may not be as hard or as raw as the two previous albums, but it's still a great record, and I enjoy it. So I have my picks on it. So that's it that I have for now. Sorry about the shitty the look of the. I'm using my camera from my laptop, so I'm sorry if the graphics or whatever picture is kind of grainy and shitty looking. I was using my camera phone to do this stuff, but my camera phone decides it doesn't want to upload the videos to my YouTube channel. So eventually I'm gonna have to break down and buy me a camera and start doing this and get back into doing this stuff, man, because I really miss doing it. But I thought I would take the time and do it now. Just got a little inspired to do it. So as always, love, peace, and music, man, and everyone be blessed. Peace out.